So there are many ways, I guess, to implement design thinking. You could say the sky is the limit. But now I just want to go over one problem-solving technique that probably existed before design thinking. But if you look at it and analyze it, it's actually implementing some design thinking principles. And let's go through it first. So we always start with the problem. So that's consistent with our definition of the two-diamond thinking process. Uh, we have a specific problem that we encounter. We discover the specific problem. Then after that, we try to diverge into a general problem from the specific problem. Once we have a general problem, we find this general solution for it. And then once we have a general solution for it, we try to customize it to a specific solution and then go to the evaluation and selection. Now, this might sound too straightforward, and it's like, why are we even talking about this? But it is important to keep in mind that, especially when we're working on a project and the project goes on for a long time, and we keep facing all different types of issues, sometimes the simplest of processes are what can actually save us, because it's not necessarily the complexity of the problem we're facing that are the most challenging for us, is the fact that because we're pressed with deadlines, because we're pressed with a lot of different things, we often don't have the time to step back and try to be a little bit more systematic in our approaches. So I'll give you one example application of this that is going to highlight how this could be potentially useful. So imagine you're developing a product, and one of the objectives that you have is to increase growth, and you're doing that through outreach through different social media platforms. So you face a specific problem, which is that the conversion of your LinkedIn ad is not as good as you would like. You see a drop in the engagement. So that's a specific problem. Now, in a lot of contexts, for a lot of companies, once we face a specific problem, we try to come up with a specific solution to it directly. And that means fix the conversion at LinkedIn. And we evaluate, and we've done a good job. So we kind of saved some time. We didn't have to go there. But what is the cost of saving some time here is that maybe a few days later, or a few weeks later, or even a few months later, we face a drop in conversion in our, let's say, Instagram ads. Now, that's another specific problem. So that means the team that's going to be handling this, or the person that's going to be handling this, might come up with their own specific solution, and then they do the evaluation criteria. Whether it works or doesn't is irrelevant to our context at the moment, but they will find a solution. And then another few weeks or a few months come by, or maybe even there is a shift in personnel, and again, there is a drop in our ads on Google ads, or on Twitter or X now. Every specific problem, we are developing a specific solution for it. Now, if we had spent the time at the beginning, the moment we see a conversion drop in our LinkedIn ad, we map it to a general problem, which is that we have a drop in conversion. And we try to analyze it in such a way that's, let's say, platform or channel agnostic. Why do people drop out, or why does the conversion drops in general? And we could potentially come up with a few guidelines for all our channels to start adopting, so that they ensure that we're not facing a drop in conversion rate. Now, once we come up with those guidelines, then every team that's handling a specific channel can come up with a specific way of implementing that solution. This way, whenever a new specific problem for a new channel happens, we can always map it out to the general problem and the general solution we already have. And our work becomes just simply the customization of the implementation to that specific channel. So by spending a bit more time, the moment we face an issue, we save a lot of time in the future. And you will find this if you ever go to an organization or to a team and you see them that they are mostly in firefighting mode. What does firefighting mode mean? You see a problem, you solve the problem. You see another problem, you solve the problem. You see another problem, you solve the problem. They are stuck in a loop where every time they see a specific problem, they are coming up with a specific solution. And the problem with specific problem is that there is an infinite amount of them. We will never run out of specific problems. General problems, on the other hand, are a lot fewer. And that means every time we're able to map a specific problem to a general problem, we're solving a whole class of problems. And then every time we face new specific problems, that extra load of coming up with a specific solution is lifted from us because now we already have a general solution. We can directly go back to it and apply it. So you can see we have a problem space, we have a solution space. This is the criteria where you define whether it's desirable, sustainable, viable, and feasible. And then you also have a diverging step and you have a converging step at every step of the way. And it kind of helps you to ensure that you're not always in a firefighting mode. If you enter an organization and you notice that they're mostly in firefighting mode, then by Triz problem solving technique, you can sort of make a guess that what they lack is a bit more divergence. They are potentially very good at operational work. They are developing stuff. It's just that nobody takes the time of mapping specific problem to general problem. So they're stuck basically solving the same thing over and over and over again. And you can also find this with uh, software developers, for example, sometimes where certain bugs become so common that the developer is actually happy when they see it because they already know the solution. And the thing is that bug is a specific problem, and that solution that he knows is a specific solution, but the whole team is stuck in a loop where specific problem we go to specific solution. Now, no matter how fast the developer is at solving that specific problem, it is still taking focus away, it's still taking time. A better approach would have been, since this is a known problem, let's generalize it. Now, can we come up with a general solution so that instead of every time this bug reoccurs, we have to spend some time for it? No, we now have a solution for all these general types of bug so that they're not coming up in the first place. We're not spending time on it anymore. Now here you have basically to balance out how much time are you spending coming up with this specific solution, how important it is for you to come up with this specific solution versus how long it's going to take for you to make that generalization step, because that one also takes a bit of time. And if it turns out that you're spending too much time coming up with specific solution, then it warrants basically looking into a generalization. If it turns out that it's something that happens once every other month or something, and it takes 10 minutes, then it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend a couple of hours or even a week in order to generalize it and come up with a general solution. So there is still some trade-offs to consider, but it shouldn't be automatic that the moment I have a problem, I need to go to a specific solution. We should always take a step back and see, is the generalization step possible? If it is possible, if it is economical, then that's the right approach. That's the way we not only solve the problem we face now, not only are we solving the problem we are aware of now, we're also potentially solving problems we're not aware of, and we're also potentially solving problems that haven't happened yet. So this, in a nutshell, is basically the Triz problem-solving technique, and it kind of uses the same principles.